afternoon, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Spring 2025 Virtual Fabric Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Stephanie Sheridan, and I will be your host today. A few things before we get started. The show today will feature collections from our Winter and Spring 2025 lines. And some of these are available in stores now. Some of them will be available in stores very soon, and some won't be available until later this summer and early fall. Questions? If you have any questions during the show, please place them in the Q&A box that you see on the bottom of your screen. And please introduce yourself in our webinar chat. We'd love to say hi to you there and see where you're from. If you want to see more about any of these fabric collections, please visit our website, which is benartex.com. You can see all of these collections and more, and the patterns that you'll see as well. And when you fall in love with a fabric line, which I'm sure you will, I've already fallen in love with several from this session as well as sessions yesterday. Please ask for them in your local quilt shops. They can order them through their sales rep, online, on our website, or through their favorite distributor. So with all of that being said, it is now time to start the show. I changed my page on my script. There we go. So we're going to start this session with Lisa Ruble, and she is showing us her second fabric collection called Nature Unfiltered. It focuses on all the beautiful small details of the world around us. Lisa, nice to see you here today. Oh, you're muted.
You know, the first person has to do that to break the ice. I expect the rest of you to remember to unmute before your turn comes up. But thanks for having me. Always fun to come on here and talk fabric.
Awesome. So we're going to show a short video of Nature Unfiltered, and then you can tell us more about the collection and the projects that you've designed around it.
Sounds great. So that was my first time seeing that video too, and it feels kind of like Christmas morning where you know there's going to be something great, but you don't know exactly what it's going to look like until it happens. And so I really enjoyed watching that as well. So thank you, Benartex marketing team. That was a lot of fun. As Stephanie said, I'm Lisa Ruble from Quilty Zest. And today I'm going to be talking about my Nature Unfiltered fabric collection, which you just got a little preview of, and I'm going to dig a little deeper into the details of the fabrics and of the quilts I designed for it. My first collection, Find Your Way, is in quilt shops right now. And if you came to the virtual fabric show in fall or just are familiar with me from other Benartex things, it was a line inspired by the outdoors and my family's love of hiking, but with a bit of a modern twist to it. And all of the fabrics, mostly geometrics, but kind of had very subtle nods to hiking and the outdoors. And so when I was coming up with Nature Unfiltered, my second line, I wanted to keep that sort of nature theme going. And what I decided to focus on this time was some of the little details that you see out in nature. So I'm going to share my screen and bring my presentation up. There we go. Everyone can see it? Fantastic. So, in our busy world, it's easy to overlook the details in nature that we see every day. So this collection focuses on a few of my favorites, from sparkling stars to little leaves to rainy day puddles. Simple line drawings transform ordinary outdoor objects into modern fabric designs in a variety of unexpected colors, from fuchsia puddles and aqua suns to green stars and navy leaves. It's nature at its best, unfiltered and bright. And if that sounded very scripted, it's because that is my little description from the fabric line. So that's the overall description that you can see on the website if you go back to look at the fabrics as well. And all of the prints that you'll see in this collection, and I'll go to the next screen and give you the full shot, were created in Illustrator, in Adobe Illustrator by me. And they're mostly based on geometric shapes, which I think gives them a bit of a modern feel. You can see they all have some sort of echoed line effect in them, which creates a cohesive effect as well because they all have that same idea. So let's take a quick look at each of the prints close up. So this is Starlight. This design actually came from a quilt that I designed several years ago. And I loved the quilt, but I hadn't yet found the right fabric to make it into a quilt. And you'll see it again shortly because I found the right fabric with this line. And I love how the three prints look different from each other just based on the colors, but then also on which sections of the stars are filled in. If you look at the navy print, you can see all the stars are outlines except for the yellow in the center. But with the light gray background print and the green print, different of those star outlines are filled in or left empty, which just creates they all look alike, but they also have a little bit of different elements in each of them. This print is really great for borders and for backing, and as you'll see in a little bit, for focal squares and quilt blocks. And next is Tree Line. This is just created by a variety of spaced lines with different lengths and then the different colors as well. And I really love the secondary design that you see that comes from the colors and the changes in the width. You get that little negative shape zigzag that goes down each of the prints, and that's just from the different lengths of those lines. This is a great fabric for binding. I tested it out before we sent it to the printer to make sure that you would get to see that effect in the binding, and I really like how it turned out. And I love how the darker blue one with the navy in the background, those colors just seem to glow. They pop right off of that navy. So that's probably one of my favorite prints in the collection. That's Tree Line. And then we get to Sunshine. So these sunshines, not to disparage my own drawing skills, but they kind of remind me of kindergarten drawings where you've got your basic circle and then you've got all the little rays around the sun sticking out, none of them quite perfect. And so that just makes me happy because it, reminds me of all the drawings I did as a kid, but we still have that, the nod to the sun, which is a basic part of our day. So they read as the suns, but also just as a fun geometric print. And you can see we've got the yellow, which would be your more expected sunshine color, but then the aqua and the grays as well. And one of the things I really love about this print that Jessica and Grace in the art department, who did a fantastic job helping me with this whole line, but suggested for this was to have some of those circles filled in and to leave some of them blank. And I think that really creates a playful look overall, and I really like how it turned out. And then we move on to leaflets. So when I first drew these and sent them into the art department, and we were having a phone conversation about the idea, they kept calling these the avocados. So while we did tweak them a little bit so they look more like leaves, and I did call them leaflets, every time I look at them, particularly the green one, my brain still says avocado. So now I've put that in your head as well. You're welcome. But this is just a real simple leaf shape that we've done the outline effect with, that sort of echo effect. And some of them are filled in with two colors, some are filled in with one color, and it just creates, I think, a really nice overall small print design. And then, of course, we've got the green, which is your more typical leaf color, and then the navy and the coral as well. And then we move on to puddles. This is hands down my favorite print in the collection. In fact, I would love to see this done in every color of the rainbow. And these are all, I say hand-drawn ovals that I did, and hand-drawn by my hand and the mouse. But I love how they fit together almost like puzzle pieces. It reminds me a little bit of the Pebbles machine quilting design, but of course mine are ovals instead. The other thing I just wanted to point out to you with this one is how different the design looks, whether you've got a darker fabric in the background and lighter lines on the front, or vice versa, with a lighter fabric in the back and then the darker lines. If you look at cloud over the gray one on the left, you've got the lighter lines. And then if you look at aqua, which is the third one, you've got the lighter aqua background with the aqua lines. And then, of course, way on the right is the only one that's two color, which is the navy with the aqua lines on it. But I love them all, and they make a fantastic background print because they've got a pattern to them and some texture, but they're not going to really stand out and take away from any block design that you might have going on. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the quilts. This is Limbo. And this is the free pattern that will be offered with the collection. It uses all of the prints in the collection, and the middle of the quilt are just width of fabric strips of all the different prints. And then you can see the skinny strips in between, which are a combo of the cloud and the light aqua. And if you look carefully at those, you can see the lengths of them vary. So you have a little back and forth design, real subtle, that goes right down the middle of the quilt. And then I did a simple square patchwork for the outer border because it was honestly too hard to choose just one fabric to be the border when I've got that whole rainbow effect going on down the middle. And so I just wanted to keep that going to the outside edge. And this is a large lap quilt. And then I actually got a little bit of about a yard of each print about a month ago. And so I was able to make this quilt. I made it in a weekend with my mom's help while she was visiting. And then my friend and machine quilter, Diane Oakes, helped me quilt it the day before the H&H industry show 2 weeks ago so that I could take it to the show and display it there. So here it is in all its rainbow glory, but I really love how it turned out. It's always so satisfying to see digital quilts come to life in fabric. And then we have Macrame Magic. And I really like doing big block designs because the bigger they are, the fewer you have to make to get your quilt done. And so these are 18-inch square blocks. So by putting rows of 4 together in 4 rows, you end up with a 72-inch square quilt pretty quickly, actually. I also like to do 2 different color backgrounds for my blocks because it adds an extra design element to the blocks themselves by having those little cloud and aqua 4 patches in the corners of the blocks. And this quilt is made up, it's kind of a 9-patch variation with some half square triangles and some quick corners. And you can see rainbow is a theme for me. I've got it on my shirt as well. But you can see I've got the rainbow effect in this as well, going from the upper left to the lower right. And then next is twirled squares. I told you that I'd show you a place to use that focal starlight print, and this is it. Those are 6.5 or 6-inch finished squares in the center of those blocks. So a great way to let a favorite big print shine. And then there's just a lot of movement in this quilt with the different framed borders and then the sashing as well. You've got a lot of diagonal movement, which is a lot of fun. This is also a lap size quilt. And then back to Starlight again. So if you look at the top, you can see the line drawing. The left part of it is sort of where my quilt design started out. And then you can see on the right, I showed you how I put in all of the echoed star shapes to create the fabric. And so then that creates the fabric you see down on the left. And then on the right, you can see how that quilt and the fabric line tie together. And then a closer look at Valletta. Uh, I named this quilt Valletta because you see like a Maltese cross in the yellow part or the teal part on the one on the right. And Valletta is a city in Malta, so it tied in with that whole Maltese cross thing. And I want to give a shout out to our lovely Stephanie Sheridan, because she's the one who came up with that connection for me to help me name this quilt. So thank you, Stephanie. But I did this one in two colors. We've got because I couldn't decide. We've got the rainbow one on the left, and then on the right, I tend to lean heavily towards teals and blues. So I did a version that is just aqua, teal, blue, and gray. And that is a 60-inch square quilt. It's made using templates. So for some people, that is a little bit of a stretch in terms of techniques, but it's a great way to get more comfortable with using templates. Myself included, when I go to make the sample, I'll be putting together a video with some video tutorial with some technique suggestions for that. And then last but not least, if you remember Find Your Way, I did the Postcard Views Landscape Trio, little wall hangings, and those were such fun and got such great feedback that I decided to do another round with Nature Unfiltered. And based on the colors in my line, I went with a sunset theme. And here is the lakeside dock version of Sunset Vibes. There's 3 I'll show you. And I just wanted to show you the picture on the left. That is Pearl Lake, the lake that my family had a cottage on growing up and where my parents live now. And so that's sort of the loose inspiration for the quilt that you see on the right. And here are all 3 of them. We've got the mountain sunset, the dock sunset, and then the tree sunset on the right. And these are all raw edge fusible applique designs. They're each 20 by 24 and easy. The longest part is the tracing and the cutting. The assembly goes super quick, and they're a lot of fun. And then I also was able to make those out of my yard cuts of fabric. So there you can see I machine quilted each of them, and those are the 3 quilts finished. And I can't wait to hang them up down the road after they get back from visiting various quilt shops over the next year or so. And so if you'd like to know more about these fabrics, what I do, that type of thing, here's my contact information. QuiltyZest.com is my website. And then you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. If you do go to my website, I've got a newsletter you can sign up for, and then you'll be the first to know when the Nature Unfiltered patterns are ready, when the fabrics are coming out, what quilt shops are carrying it, and all that. So I hope you'll follow me to keep on top of that kind of stuff. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. And we had a lot of fun trying to figure out the name for that one quilt, didn't we?
We did. We did. So I appreciate your help.
All right. So next we're going to move on to artist Danielle Duer. She is here with us today to share 2 of her fabric collections. Gentle Warriors is an homage to the intense yet gentle spirit of woman. And Affinity features the peacock, a timeless symbol of confidence, beauty, and self-expression. We have a short video that Danielle prepared for us about the Gentle Warriors collection, and then we'll hear from her about those fabrics.
Hi, I'm Danielle Duer, and I am so excited to share my Gentle Warriors fabric collection with you. These warrior women have been the heartbeat of my work as a fine artist for almost 15 years. They began as layered, intimate paintings I created to express how I wanted to see myself in the world. strong and courageous, and from the desire to see my life as meaningful and beautiful and grounded in grace, love, and honesty, even when the world seemed to push against that truth. And over time, I found that these figures resonated deeply with other women as well, symbolizing their strength in their own stories. So I began to weave their personal histories into the work also, drawing inspiration from a beloved mother's sweater or a bird that reminds someone of home. These figures became so much more than just art. They became empowering heirlooms, honoring the often quiet, unshakable power of women and the connections that tie all of us together. The bold colors and eclectic patterns in this collection reflect the complexity of these stories. The vivid hues echo the many layers of a woman's journey, while the white, lace-like details represent the freedom and trust in myself that comes with each piece. I allow my instincts to guide those final touches, creating a flowing, intuitive pattern that speaks to the deeper truths that we carry within us. Symbolic flowers appear throughout this collection, reflecting growth that can bloom in even challenging seasons. And while that eclectic blend of patterns mirror the way our stories and history overlap, layer upon layer to create something uniquely beautiful. This mixing of elements is a signature of my work, a visual storytelling that embraces the complex, deeply layered, and always beautiful nature of feminine strength. Seeing these warriors come to life in fabric is incredibly meaningful. It allows other creatives to carry these messages forward. And my hope is that this collection reminds all of us that it is powerful to be both strong and soft, compassionate and capable, and we deserve to celebrate all of that every single day.
Welcome to the show, Danielle. I'm so glad you could be here.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. This is so different for me. This is my second fabric collection, but this particular collection is so emotional for me because it's the heart of my work, and it's about women, and I have found that this is it's just that for so long as an artist, and where I started off from being a little kid and making art and it being like the safe way that I could express myself and share my voice with the world, I started making these images of what I wanted to look like these courageous women. And I started to make, I wanted them to look serious and beautiful and soft. And I wanted them to reflect all the things that I thought were amazing in the world. And when I started sharing them with people, I just could not believe that people resonated with them so much and that they saw themselves in them. And it was really neat to be able to um, find this as a way I could connect with other people and start asking them questions. And they would tell me their stories and their stories of resilience, their struggles as women, as things that they have overcome. And I just couldn't also believe how similar the stories are. But it just became a really powerful way to see strength and beauty together. And then I got to incorporate into so many paintings like their stories and make custom work. And so I wanted to, at some point, this is 15 years, 20 years later, make a collection of these that felt a little more like all different kinds of people. So actually this collection was made from I built a paper doll app sort of. And so I took all of my paintings of just florals and designs, because I can show you. Do you have a way to show my screen? I can.
Yeah, there's a share button on the bottom if you wanted to use the share screen, and you can show us what's
Oh
on
yeah.
your screen.
Okay. Okay. So I can show this. That is not what I was going to show you. Can you see these things? Can you see them? Yes. Okay, so I've only done this a few times, so you'll just have to, okay, so like this, for instance, these are like, somebody's story. And so there's a lot of patterning work in my fine art paintings anyways. And so it was really fun to um, take paintings that some of my paintings are just florals and some of them are women, but to take those and create like a shirt and a hat and a scarf. And so I kind of built an app that actually would generate 10,000 different warrior women, like by just like grabbing a different hat and a different shirt. And so that was really just like a fun thing that I did. And then so I had so many women that I was like, I really want to start putting these together. So, and sharing them in new ways with other people. And why fabric is so great is because I love seeing other artists and creative people do different things with this work. And I had no idea before I did this that was even a thing. Like I never even thought about that. So like just seeing, other people making things with my work that, I'm not able to do is just like a really amazing, extra exciting piece to this. And I think that knowing what this means and that it could maybe mean something special and important to you and the people that are around you might really help this quilt that you make like even more impactful and meaningful. And so that's my hope for it anyways.
Absolutely. Danielle, do you want to stop your screen share?
Yeah, sorry.
There we go.
Yes. I think just stop it.
Yeah, up at the top, there should be a,
Oh, stop share. I see, so.
there we
Thank
go. Perfect. All right, so that was Gentle Warriors. And if you see over here, this is another one of Danielle's collections. This was her first collection. And we actually have one more to show you. So we're going to share a short video about the Affinity collection. But Danielle, thank you so much for joining us. And please stick around in case anyone has questions for you at the end.
Well, so this sort of still echoes the whole theme and voice that I use throughout all my work, where I want to show like a fierce feminine perspective, where it's just like the balance of I like to show things that you expect to be fragile, like flowers and things like that, but I want them to be bold and powerful. And so I liked that I could do that with these peacocks. And I think they're women peacocks are peahens. So that's what these are. But it doesn't matter. Anyways, I love that I got to use all of the favorite colors that are typical in the peacock world, and with the purples and stuff, and that the peacocks actually feel floral within, and that they could mix really well with feathers and flowers. And that's it definitely ties back to my feelings from what I said earlier with the warriors. It's just like a strong, empowering, feminine feel that I like to weave through all of my work. So
So they're both of the collections are absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
So thank you
I
so
haven't
much for
seen
bringing your art.
the Infinity collection yet in person. So I'm so happy to have gotten to see the video, and all of the fabrics that I have done, and I can't believe how beautiful they are in real life. Like the colors are so much more beautiful in real life, I think, than on the screen. Like they're incredible. So thank you.
For sure. And thank you so much for bringing your art to the quilting world.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
All right, so next up we have designer Ann Lauer with her latest collections. Go with the Flow represents an evolution of style inspired by a myriad of shapes and colors. Echo is Ann's new basic collection that combines rich hues with a unique texture. So Ann, welcome to the show. Ann, you're on mute.
See, it didn't help believe that Lisa did it. I had to do it too. Right. Thanks. So yeah, thank you. It's nice to be here.
All right, so let's take a quick look at Go with the Flow, and then you can tell us more about it.
Sure will. Wow. As Lisa said, man, Benartex marketing, these videos are incredible. And it is really fun to see it for the first time. So as Stephanie said, I'm Ann Lauer, and my company is Grizzly Gulch Gallery. Ron and I were on a 3-week trip to India to observe tigers in game drives. And we came home, both started coughing a few days later, and then I totally lost my voice. So it's coming back, but it may not quite show the enthusiasm I have for this new Go with the Flow collection. We have a slideshow, so we could get started. Next. So the next slide is going to show you the overview of the whole collection, and it truly is flowing. It is go with the flow, both in design and in color. Next. So this is the main print. I developed it from taking elements from previous collections, such as leaves and paisleys, then morphing those into teardrops and simple flowers, and then decorating them with line work and shading, dots, and geometric patterns. Nothing in this collection except black and white is flat color. It's all shaded with just beautiful movement. Next. So here's an example of how the color flows from one pattern into the next, or one leaf, or the little dots in the, or the little segments actually in the mosaic flows. Next. This is the ombre stripe. And you can see up close then how the purple moves into the teal, moves into the green, moves into the blue. And what's really fun about this is you can take this stripe that repeats many times across the width, and you can decide where you want the stripe to start. So it can start with purple, it can start with green, it can end with blue, and you can make that as wide as you want and lay out the colors. You can make all 4 borders match if you want, or they don't have to. So it really has such a wonderful watercolory look. It's on black and it's on white. And not only is it wonderful in borders, it's wonderful in blocks. And you'll see examples of that later, either a square block or pieced sections put into a block. Next. So when I make quilts, I've always wanted a variety of values in order to put the quilt together the way I want it. And so as a designer, I make sure that I have at least 3 values of each of the main colors in the collection. So this is mosaic shards. It's the darkest color in the collection, darkest value. And you can see movement. Every single one of these fabrics has movement, and it's also got shading. So we have dark, we have medium dark, medium, and light. Next. Mosaic flow. Well, here we go. Flow. It's everything's flowing through here. It's just, I love the way these little bitty pieces, and then the color slides into the next one and the next one. And you've got all kinds of action, but it's quiet and gentle. And then the black and white also works really nicely in blocks. Next. So this is the mosaic leaf tonal. So these black and white leaves are laid over watercolor. So this is the medium dark value in the group. And it's also a larger scale, which gives you a lot more opportunity to have different designs, different patterns and different size, scales within your blocks. Next. So this is the next one is this, here it is in a multi. So again, you can see how the color just moves from one section of the leaf to another one and to another one. This works beautifully in borders, also blocks, backing, cut up small, lots of opportunity here. Next. And this is burst. So this is a medium value. The detail in here is amazing. Just the more you look, the more you see. And yet it's not busy. It just gives you a lot of depth and a lot of impact, even though it's the medium value in the collection. Works with lots of other fabrics as well. Next. And star leaf. So here's the lightest one. Every one of those leaves has tiny little veins drawn in each one of them. So you've got a lot of design, but it's soft and it's subtle, and you can use this also with lots of other fabric collections. Next. So this shows you clearly how those 4 values and the scale, how they work within each color, and what an opportunity this is for quilts. Next. And this is Echo. So Stephanie mentioned it. Echo is a new basics line we have. There's 30 fabrics in it now, and I'll show more about that in a bit. But this is 9 Echo fabrics work beautifully with this collection. And you can see a snippet here of on the different fabrics, the pattern in this. And what's amazing it has so much design effect, but it's not busy. So it works beautifully for backgrounds or also any other parts of the quilt. Next. And this will show how the Echo works with all the other colors in that collection. Next. So patterns, we have twice charmed, and it's a table topper or a runner made from one charm pack. And then I've chosen the ombre stripe for the borders on each of those. And this is a free download. Next. And here's the free pattern. Free flow is an example of how that big print, how beautifully that works in large squares. And then the ombre stripe in this case was cut into triangles and then pieced into squares. So you have even more of a design element within that. We've taken that mosaic stripe, the mosaic leaves, and cut them into really small pieces. And it almost gives a batik effect. But it works big pieces, borders, but also in really small squares. Next. Squarely there. So this looks like this is a really difficult quilt. It, however, only has 2 blocks. I love the way, and you'll see it in a bigger image later, how that mosaic flow, the depth of it, the color movement works in the border as well as in the blocks. And the Oliver print, the big one, also works beautifully in those blocks. And then we have 2 bursts in there as well. This is a large lap. Next. Stars aglow. So here's a perfect example of the light gray Echo as a background. It has lots of movement, lots of texture without being busy and without detracting. So you've got these really nice stars, the overall print and the squares. And then again, I've cut up that small, I've cut up the mosaic leaves into small pieces. And then Echo is also in the teal and in the purple here. So lots of ways to use that differently. And this is also a large lap. This is almost queen, actually. A twin. Next. Starstruck. Well, man, you've got every opportunity for a quilt with this one because I wrote it in a wall, a lap, a twin, a queen, a full, and a king. So again, you see the overall print in a large piece, that leaf outline, mosaic cut up and then put back into a square in the middle. This has the star leaves as the background here, and the Echo is in the black. And the purple is the mosaic shards. Next. Afternoon Delight. My gosh, this is a old standby. How would you like to make this quilt in one afternoon? So this has been around for a long time because it's hugely popular, because it is great quilt for beginners, and it's also fast for gifts for more experienced quilters. So the pieces are large, 4 patches and flying geese, but because you've got such a design element, you don't focus on the size of it. It's written for a lap, wall, slash, and also for a queen and a king. So change the focal point and it just works for all kinds of gifts. There's an example of how that mosaic, the ombre stripe works, just cut in a square and just cut randomly. Nothing matches, but it just adds a lot of interest to those squares. Next. Echo. So next, this is a beginning. I'll show you the texture in this print is amazing. So we started by adding an Echo texture to luminescent leaves. And then in the next collection, we'd add another couple of colors. And we thought, man, this is so pretty. It's working so beautifully. We need to make a whole line of this. And this just shows how much detail is in each of those prints. Next. So now we have 30 colors. I find that if I'm working on a quilt or I've put a top together and somebody takes a look at it, they're always saying, what's that? And it's Echo. It is really an attention getter, and for being so soft, it just works in lots of different ways. We're quite excited about it. Next. Here's some patterns using Echo only. Free fall, this is a great beginner, Bargello, flip and sew, quilt as you go. Next. Razzle dazzle. Well, if this doesn't dazzle you, I don't know what would. But again, great fun with color on top of black. Next. And splits and strips. So these are, for this lap size, you use 2.5-inch strip packs, and you split some of them, and then you can put together this quilt. And if you want to make a wall, then you use 1 strip pack. But again, just the movement in that Echo, you just get so much more out of it, more impact than if it were just a solid. Next. So here's the contact information. Check me out on grizzlygulchgallery.com. All of the patterns are on my website. Facebook, follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. Go with the Flow will be available in shops in July. Echo is, some of those are available right now, and some of the new colors will be ready later this summer. But then, as I said, we have patterns for both of those available now. So thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks, Anne. And let's take a quick look at the video that we prepared for Echo.
I could barely sit still through that. I need to look at a little snippet of that first thing in the morning to get me going. It was great, thanks.
You're welcome. Well, you should have seen yesterday. We played Rob's video and he was dancing a little bit. So it's always fun to put good music to these videos. All right, so right now we're going to take a short break and we're going to run a poll. You'll see a question pop up on your screen. For those of you that are here with us on Zoom, please answer this question. What 3 words would you just use to describe Benartex fabrics? And while you guys are doing that, we're just going to wait for a moment. And I'll let you know that those of you here on Zoom, if you answer this poll question, you'll have a chance to win a fun, fabulous fabric surprise from us. We're going to actually pick 6 winners from this session, one to represent each of our panelists that are here today. All right, so now we'd like to ask you all to welcome me in joining April Cornell to the show. Her beloved collection, or is it beloved? We'll have to find out from April. It is full of delicate beauty, soft florals, and charming paisleys, all in her signature style. April, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Such a privilege to be here among such talented women. People who also are in love with textiles. Thank you.
You're welcome. So we have a short video to show you of the beloved collection, and then April can tell us a little bit more about these fabrics.
Can I take it away?
Yes, you can take it away, April. So do you say beloved or beloved?
I say beloved.
Okay,
Yeah.
so please tell us more about it.
Like beloved, like cherished, like let's say with a lasting energy and vibration that would be special and something delicate. And that if you think of the fabrics as a collection or as a group speaking to each other, but who would you make something of these coloring palettes for? You know, somebody really beloved of you. Somebody, maybe it's a daughter or a granddaughter, or it's something that is personal to you. I think it's quite personal, you know, with the mix of mainly pink tones and soft, I would say like warm olives, but not intense, delicate, a lot of ecru's influencing the general palette, the feeling of cotton. I just see it as, I think of it as kind of French inspired from my many years of traveling through Paris and getting that sort of French confection thing of it's all pink, you know, I love that, but delicate, you know, not shiny, very, very soft together. I think it's a soft statement, and it's very livable and very personal. I think there's a larger the apple blossom in the border and in the running is, you know, there's sort of key pieces to the foundation pieces of a collection. I am not personally a quilter, so my language is maybe slightly different, but I think in terms of design, you know, the larger motifs is being more foundational, and the small ones is, you know, kind of holding hands together. And because they're all quite harmonious and within a similar tone, you know, you can put one beside the other and get your complexity, but through, you know, any of the prints will sit with the other prints. So you can get your complexity through a number of different patterns, but still there's a delicacy that weaves through it. I think of it, you know, when I think anybody who puts the time and energy in their hands and their kind of spirit into making something, you know, I have so much respect for that. You know, I love the idea of dresses, little porch dresses, kind of, you know, simple, big pocket dresses. The yoke, maybe, you know, different on each side, the collar, again, different print. The pockets, the two big pockets, different prints, maybe those are in squares. And you've got the buttons down the front, big mother of pearl buttons. Like, I think of sort of like how you would like to wear it and where you'd like to be. Maybe you'd like to be on that porch with that cup of tea. Or maybe you'd like to make like a great apron, you know, sort of capacious apron that you're gonna like bake like the best recipe from, of course, grandma's book, right? So I think it's got that place to it, like it puts you in a place, on a porch, in the kitchen with something, you know, you can smell it, right? And then also a child. You just think that little small comforter, little head, little pillow. Maybe she's newborn. Maybe she's like your 7-year-old granddaughter like I have. But when she comes over, you just want and spends the night, you want to put something special on her. And it's always going to be hers, right? Till her little sister comes along, then it's hers, of course. But, you know, yeah, I don't know. I think I have had a life in textiles. Started my company 50 years ago, and it has been just a journey of observation and love, and textiles has been my way of communicating and my way of connecting with women through I would say through the centuries. Vintage inspiration is definitely a part of our vocabulary. And when I think of a print and I think somebody might have had something similar like 100 years ago, that's like, to me, I'm carrying on her heartbeat, you know, and I think, geez, I hope like 100 years from now, somebody finds a piece of this somewhere and carries that forward also. I love the journey of all of us, you know, and textiles really wraps women into a very special journey. You know, we all wear stuff, we all got to cover ourselves. It like has so much history. In my own factory in India, when I mean, we all love, you know, fabrics, and I think it's emotional. I think, Katie, weren't you saying it was emotional? Somebody was saying it was emotional. Not Katie, was Danielle. I think you're saying it's emotional. And when I put my hand on a stack of fabrics, I like feel the energy. And it's not my energy, it's energy coming from the cloth and from everything that's gone into it. And I just love that. I feel it's moving, and to have spent so many years doing that, I feel very fortunate, you know, and I like the idea that stuff keeps communicating when you're not there and you're not part of it through somebody else's life and work.
I can't tell you how wonderful it is to hear you talk about your fabrics, April, and you know, this particular collection it reminds me very much of my grandmother and my great-grandmother. So you definitely achieved that feeling that you were looking for in in the generational aspect of quilting fabrics, because it is absolutely stunning. So thank you so much for being here and sharing with us about Beloved.
Thank you. Such a pleasure. Appreciate
And,
it.
and stick around because there may be some questions for you at the end. But now we're going to move on to our next panelist, Rachel Rossi. And she is here to share the magic of nature and childhood, inspired by sweet wishes whispered to dandelions. This collection not only celebrates nature, but respects it as well. Let's take a quick look at a video, and then we'll hear from Rachel about the fabrics and her projects. Hi, Rachel. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. If you don't know me yet, my name is Rachel, and I work out of my in-home studio in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. My husband and my 3 daughters work along with me, and so this collection is very much inspired by the stage of life that I'm in with 3 young girls. Our yard is filled with dandelions because we spread their seeds every day, blowing and making wishes on the dandelion seed heads. So this was a really fun collection for me that just kind of marks the season I'm in. So I'm really excited to tell you all about Wishflower, and I'm going to share so we can see the fabrics a little more closely. Go. And all right. Stephanie, can you give me a thumbs up that everyone can see my, okay, beautiful, thank you. You're the one I can see. All right, so Wishflower is my 3rd line. So first we had Bee Haven, next was Modern Vintage, which just came out in the past couple weeks, so check your local quilt shop for that. And now we have Wishflower. All 3 of my lines so far have been printed on unbleached cotton. So we're taking a small step and trying a new technique for quilting cotton by using unbleached fabric. What this does is it reduces the chemicals that come through the waterways or on the end product of your fabrics. And it, as well as not having the bleach chemical in it, it also doesn't use as much water in the production. So I'm really excited to be making small, sustainable steps that still creates beautiful fabric. And a fun little like byproduct of this, skipping the bleaching process, is that it makes your fabric even softer. Like as if quilting cotton wasn't already great enough, like it's even softer. So if you see it in a store, feel it, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So on to fabric. We're all here to see pretty things. Maybe. So my line started with this main print that you can kind of see in the left corner. This has all the elements of all the prints that I'm about to show you. And much like Anne, I like to divide mine into a dark, medium, and a light. So all the blenders have a whole rainbow of dark, mediums, and lights to work with. So it's really versatile, really fun to use in just about any quilt project. So we have our main print in our blenders, and don't worry, you'll get to see close-ups of them in a second. I just want to show you the whole line first. Then we have a really fun stripe. You can use it as a stripe, but it's kind of a chameleon. It does whatever you want it to do. And a border print that I just want to make pants out of it. I want to put it on the back of every quilt. I want to do just about everything with this print. And then we have a really fun ombre that, again, I will show you a close up in a little bit, but that's kind of the whole line. And while this was inspired by dandelions, I actually, once the ball got rolling, I said, you know what, dandelions are fun. What if we just do a whole collection with weeds? So all of the plants you see here are weeds. The stripe is called broomcorn. We have your dandelions, and then there's one, I'll show you what the plant looks like, that's called Tilenium, and it's the cutest weed you've ever seen. You would never pull it out. Sorry, waiting for my computer to respond. Okay, well, while my computer is frozen, can everybody hear me? Can I get a thumbs up from anyone? Okay, thanks. Sorry, my screen is frozen at the moment. But while I'm waiting for that, I can tell you a little bit about the prints that we're looking at. So this border print that you see down in the corner, that are the big dandelion puffs, is kind of where the whole collection started. I had kind of put in a whole lot of ideas, and this is the print that everyone kind of magneted to right away. And so I was excited because that was kind of my favorite of the bunch as well. And sorry guys, let me see why this isn't working.
Rachel, do you want to try and stop share and then start it again?
I can try. I lost my mouse isn't showing up, which is a problem.
Maybe our tech team can we stop Rachel's share, or does she have to do it? Let's see if we can. There we go. Okay, we stopped the share.
Okay.
And we can play the presentation on our end, I think, if that would help.
Okay, that might work. I apologize, everybody.
No problem. Technical glitches. Okay, I think that's where we left off with you, Rachel, right?
Okay, so I am totally blind because my screen is just frozen on my presentation. So if we are on
we're on border prints. It says border prints.
Okay,
we'll work through this. It's fine.
Oh, I appreciate that. Just you have to say it out loud if anything crazy happens. All right, so let me tell you about this border print. This is where it all started, and what me and the team, the illustrator team, kind of latched onto at the beginning. And you can see it used here. I think if you click, you'll see the Field of Joy pattern that uses,
next slide.
Yes, that uses that large print border around it. And I was really excited to see it come to life in this quilt, just because it creates such an interesting frame, especially if you miter those corners. It's just really beautiful. And I'll tell you more about that quilt in a little bit. The next slide will show you the wishing field prints. And that is our main print that really pulls all of the prints together. It has all of the different flowers and weeds and textures and colors. And it is just the best backing fabric because it is larger scale, and it just really pulls the whole line together. Oh, now I'm back. I can see you guys. I'm gonna let you keep doing the slides, so I'll just tell you when the next one comes up. Thank you for hanging in there with me. All right, so next slide, you will see the broomcorn print. This is one of my favorites because it's so simple, and it reminds me a little bit of some wallpaper that was in my grandmother's bathroom. Hers was like metallic, so this isn't quite that, but just kind of the shape and line just reminds me of kind of some fun like 70s wallpaper that I grew up seeing. And this is a nice print to work with. It runs parallel to the selvage, so you have a lot of play with it. You can use it on borders. And it's a great print to work with. And the deep blue and the deep reds are just really nice and rich in real life. Next slide. So this is the Telinium tangle, and I'm probably not saying that Latin word right, but we're gonna go with it. This is one of the most precious little weeds that I just let go in my garden sometimes. If you click, a little picture of this weed will pop up and you'll know what I'm talking about. It's just so cute and dainty, and I just love when it pops up. This print is also available in a wide back, so it's like a tone on tone, and it pretty much will go with any quilt that you're working with. The next slide, and there's just kind of a close-up of my take on this cute little plant. Next slide, we're gonna look at the Windy Day prints. So these go back to the dandelion inspiration and what you get when you blow on a wishing puff, as my girls call it. And I just wanted that feeling of like just airy and pure and sweet to come through in these prints. And if you do one more click, you'll see a closer up of these guys. So just really sweet and gentle print. All right, next slide. This print is called Dandy, and it's just a simple doodle that I made as part of the next print that I will show you, but I wanted something kind of grounding for our darker colors, and this was it. So it's just sweet and simple, kind of like that childhood doodle, like you would doodle during school or just on the corner of a page. Nothing complicated, just simple and pure. So on the next slide, you'll see where I pulled that little doodle from in creating some of my larger ombre prints. So if you go ahead and click once, it will pull up all 3 of the ombre prints that I've been trying to fit ombre in for 3 lines now and did it. So this is really fun to work with. It works as an all over print. It works if you're using like a whole width of fabric. And as you'll see in my projects later, it works as a border really beautifully. So I really had a lot of fun with this ombre print. These are kind of my abstracted version of a dandelion. And I decided that I just got a little crazy and decided I needed to make accessories to go along with it. So ask for these at your local quilt shop. We have little magnetic needle minders that go with it. And on the next slide, you'll see that if you need thread for your needle on your needle minder, I've also come out with designer thread sets that go with this collection. This is pearl cotton from Valdani, and it is all perfectly coordinated with the Wishflower line. And these work along with a new product that I'm launching. If you click one more time, the little book of big stitch binding. And it's all about how to just add details onto your binding. So all of the quilts for this collection and the previous 2 were not done with an invisible binding stitch, but were actually done with little embroidery stitches down the edge of the binding. So super fun way to just kind of spice things up. And then just because I couldn't leave well enough alone, on the next slide, I started making edge-to-edge designs that also go with the line. So this was inspired by that dandelion puff print and is available to long armers to add to their edge-to-edge collection. So you can have your fabric and your pattern and your long arming and your binding all match perfectly with this line. So I've clearly had a lot of fun with this one. So we can head into projects on the next slide. So this guy I showed you earlier is a free pattern for the baby size on my website, and it's called Field of Joy. This one, you can use a strip set if you're using a different collection, but in order to get all of the whole rainbow, I have you just cutting yardage. So there's a little bit of strip piecing in here and curved piecing, but it just creates a really stunning, draws your eye up and down the quilt, and kind of is a callback to that broomcorn print that you see here on the back of it. That's what started this quilt design, was looking at that and saying, how can I make that into a quilt? On the next slide, you will see, I believe, Hover. Hover is a pattern that I had released previously and was super excited to have a rainbow collection to use with it again. What you see on the right is a twin size, and then on the left is a throw size. But all of my patterns go down from a toddler size up to a king size, so everything in between. And this is just a great way to show off that ombre print. Next slide, please. This guy I'm really excited about. So this will be my second Bloom of the Month, or Block of the Month program called Bloom of the Month. And this guy was just at H&H and was pieced like right before it got there. And so it's on its way to the long armor shortly. And it was just a delight to make. I can't wait to walk through 6 months of curved piecing with you guys. But this will be a Block of the Month program available through me or your local quilt shop. And then last slide here, or next to last, is a clothing project, which is, I've designed a lot of quilts, I've designed a lot of accessories. This is my first real piece of clothing. So this is called Cozy Cascade. And if you ever just wanted to wear a quilt in public, but didn't think that it was quite the look you were going for, this is your way to do so. So this is a quilted piece of fabric made into a really simple flowing kind of cardigan. It is extremely warm, so it's definitely good for anyone in colder climates or that has a chilly winter. And it is also reversible. So you can see me on the far right, turning it right side or wrong side out, and it's still ready to go. What's fun about this project is that I wrote it for quilters. So as someone, I grew up doing garment sewing and then got into quilting and realized that their languages don't always match. So this is a garment pattern written for quilters, and it's very approachable. And then next slide, I think this is our last one. So if you guys want to be the first to know about the Block of the Month program, or when this line is ready, or get the free patterns, make sure that you sign up for my newsletter, or find me on any of the social media channels, Facebook or Instagram at Designs by RR. So thank you so much for taking the time to check out my new collection and for hanging in there.
Thanks, Rachel. And now everyone sees why we asked for a copy of your PowerPoint presentations, because when technical things happen, we can recover quickly. So thank you, Rachel. All right, so last but certainly not least is artist Katie Daisy with a Prairie Heart. Envision serene summer days filled with jam making to the melody of birdsong and quilting bees on the prairie. So first we're going to show a quick video of the collection, and then Katie's here to tell us a little bit more about it.
Wonderful.
So
Thank
welcome to the
you.
show, Katie. Thanks so much for being here with us today.
Yes, thank you for having me. And I just want to start off by saying I've never done this before, so if I mess up or anything, just, be patient with me. So I'm going to introduce myself a little bit for those of you who don't know me, and then I'll jump in and explain my fabric. I have all of it with me, so you get to see it kind of live, and then some cute projects that people have made with my fabric already. So I'm Katie Daisy and I'm an illustrator. I do not sew, but I love textiles. I love quilts. I love old fabric. Pretty much anything that has to do with that vintage charm. I live in Sisters, Oregon, which is home to the amazing outdoor quilt show and festival that happens here. I was raised in rural Illinois on the prairie in my mom's gardens. So I grew up playing in these amazing, epic gardens that just sprawled for acres. And it really has impacted every single thing that I paint. So after high school, I went on to art school and I graduated in 2009. And I have been freelancing as an illustrator ever since. I've licensed my art for books, calendars, puzzles, pretty much anything that needs illustrating, I have done it. I've been doing it now for 16 years, which feels like a really long time. And I'm in my shop in Sisters, Oregon. So, with all that said, this is my second line of fabric. So I really had no idea what I was doing in the beginning, and Ruth really helped me at Benartex, and I'm just so honored to be here and to show you this fabric. So, as you said, this is called a prairie heart, and it's just so close to my heart, and it's inspired by my love of the natural world and those wide open spaces that seem to stretch on forever. When I first began designing this line, I imagined a dreamy summer day, making jam in the kitchen with the windows open and birds singing in the background. I wanted to capture that essence in the line. So I just want to start out by showing you, I think this might be my favorite print. And this one is called Meadow Flowers in Light Fern. And I think that I probably put all of my favorite wildflowers in this one. So you have lupin, Queen Anne's lace, bachelor button, echinacea, cosmos, foxglove. It goes on and on. So that comes in light fern, and then also the peach jam, which is this really beautiful peach color, which I think is probably my favorite color of all time. That's what my shop is painted, is this gorgeous peach color. Next up, I have, sorry, this is a little bit all over the place. This is my other favorite. It's called Country Bloom, and it's in Prairie Sky. And I brought the original flowers that I made to create this, and I wanted to show you just kind of the scale and how things go from this to this. I work with traditional media. I use gouache and I use watercolor. And I hardly do any digital painting. Like I don't do any digital painting. And so when I scan in the art, I then take it into Photoshop and maybe like arrange it around a little bit or add some leaves or add a different background color. But I'm a traditional artist through and through. Another fun thing I want to show you, I'm not going to show you every single thing because I think that would take a long time. There's a lot of stuff in this line. So these are the prairie dresses. And I love these because I am such a huge fan of vintage dresses. These are loosely inspired by Gunny Sacks dresses because I own a few of them. They're very dear to my heart, and I really just wanted to capture this like hand stitch, handmade look in this fabric. I also brought the originals, oops, of those dresses. And I just thought it could be cute to show you, you know, like the scale and how I shrink it down to make the actual pattern. And so there's that cute green one. A wonderful thing about working with Benartex has been, you know, just being able to take my vision and my, you know, my love of the meadows and the countryside and all of that and translate it into something that can be wearable, that you can cover up with, like a quilt. I absolutely love that my paintings that I make in my little cabin studio can then be like shared with the world. So I want to share with you a little thing that a friend of mine made is this adorable goose. So this is choosing the fabric that I showed you before, which is the meadow flowers in pale peach. And then the dainty daisy was used for the cape and the little hat. So, and then the beak and the feet were made from the shadow blush. And I'm not sure which color that one is, but I think it goes really well with the project. And then I had a friend make this very simple quilt using all of the pieces. I'm going to stand up to show you this because I love it so much. So it's really gorgeous. Her name is Brienne of Birch Acres, and I love how she used this print on the back. And then all of these little dainty little pieces with the white in there to break it up. I think it has a very vintage looking quality. And of course, that's just what I love. So I don't want to go on for too much longer, but if you have any other questions, Stephanie, or want to see certain things, like I said, this is my first time, so just be patient with me.
Well, thank you so much, Katie, for being here. And I really adore your collection, you know, and on all of your artwork. It's so cool to see how your artwork translates into fabric that then people use in quilts and other projects. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, so that ends our panelists portion of the program today. So I'm going to take a quick look. We are running a little long on time, so if everyone wants to just be patient for a few more minutes, I do want to get through some of these questions, and then we'll announce our winners. So let me look real quick. Lisa, 2 questions for you. What software did you use to create the quilts and the fabric? And someone wants to know, how long did it take you to make the applique quilts?
So for the first question, I design both the fabric and the quilts in Adobe Illustrator. It's what I learned how to use to do diagrams for writing quilt patterns, and it just was a natural progression into those other areas. For the second question, it depends on if you're making them 2 nights before the H&H show or if you're making them in a more leisurely manner. So like I said during my talk, the tracing and the cutting of all those templates takes the longest amount of time. And I would say it was about an hour and a half to do all the tracing onto the fusible, and then about another hour to cut those. But I took little videos when I assembled each of those three, which I will ultimately share on social media. And I think assembling each of them was about 10 minutes. So that part's really quick. And then adding the borders and the binding. So it just depends on your time constraints, but they do go together pretty quickly, especially once the tracing and cutting is done.
All right, thank you so much, Lisa. And a couple questions for Danielle. Um, Danielle, are you on Facebook and Instagram or any social media? Oh, Danielle, you're muted.
I think both of those are at Danielle Duer Art.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then someone wanted to know a little bit more about the app that you created.
Oh, so I just created well, it's kind of like a paper doll app, and it's just from the Gentle Warriors, and it's just all different hats that come from all of the different paintings that I inputted, and I made different hats and different let's see, eyes and noses and lips and skin colors and different things, so that when you generate, like, you just press a button and it will grab a different hat and a different shirt and a different, from different paintings that I've done to create a whole different warrior, up to 10,000 of those. I don't know what I'm going to do with that app, but it did help inspire the final look for these Gentle Warriors.
That's amazing. It reminds me of like the color forms when we were kids, where you could take the different slides and then.
Yes, and it's real fun. I just like to mix patterns anyway, so it's always so fun to, like, I just play with it sometimes and just press, generate, and I'm just like, whoa, I love that one. That one's so cool.
Awesome. The next question is, Rachel, can you share the pattern for the green jacket in the video? That would be the Cascade jacket, and that's going to be on your website, correct?
Yes, that will be on my website when the line releases this fall. Still putting final touches on it, getting all the sizing just right, but it will be available in extra small to 3XL on my website.
Perfect. And another question for you with the unbleached cotton. Does that need starched when you cut it?
No, so working with it is not any different than working with your standard quilting cotton. It doesn't seem to be wrinklier or anything like that. I have a project from Bee Haven that I made a year ago now, and I just put it in the washer with my laundry every week, just to like see how it does. And so it's not bleeding or doing anything weird. So it acts just like regular quilting cotton.
Fantastic. Okay, Anne, a question for you. In your Echo fabrics, is there a sage green color? I know that there are some greens, but I don't know if there's a sage green. I think there might be.
I think it's there's something similar to that for sure.
Okay.
Also kind of in medium and dark variation.
And someone else, and I already answered this question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you because I thought it was interesting. She asked if your fabrics were batiks, and they're not. They're traditionally printed cottons, but they do definitely have a batik quality to them, don't they, Anne?
That watercolory look really does look like batik, and particularly when it's cut up. But yeah, it's beautiful, but it's traditionally printed.
Okay. And I had several questions about where can you find shops that carry Benartex fabrics? If you go to our website, benartex.com, you can find a store locator, and you can look for a specific collection, and it will tell you shops that carry it. You can also look for your area and see shops that carry Benartex fabrics in your area. That was about the jacket. And a couple questions. Let's see. Katie Daisy's, your fabrics, let me double check and find out when Katie's line is going to be shipping to stores. I know it was on the video, but I can't remember exactly when that was. So we'll pop that answer in the webinar chat. That's about the jacket. And Danielle, your collection as well. They're asking when it's going to be available in shops, and we're going to pop that answer in to the chat for you. And I think that's all the time we have right now. Okay, Prairie Heart will be available in October. It'll start shipping to stores this October. And yeah, I think that's all the questions. We got most of the questions answered. So thank you all for putting your questions there. And right now, we're going to announce the winners of the Fun Fabulous Fabric Surprise for this session. So our winners are Jeanette Willman, Betty McCall, Jeannie Ebner, Chloe Morgan, Mary San Antonio, and Melissa Moore. So congratulations to all of you. We'll reach out to you and get your mailing address so we can send you a fun fabric surprise. And once again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming to our virtual fabric show. We sincerely hope that you enjoyed seeing all the fabrics and meeting the designers and hearing about all the fabrics and the projects that can be made. Be sure to ask at your local quilt shop about the collections that you fell in love with, and we absolutely cannot wait to see what you create with them. So thank you to all of my panelists. I appreciate your time and your talents, and I'll give you each a chance to say a quick goodbye, and then we'll close our virtual fabric show spring 2025. Thanks again, everyone, for coming. And if everyone wants to just pop on and say a quick goodbye, please feel free.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks again, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.